The call and the weeping begins. In the quiet hills of Anathoth, just outside the jagged line of Jerusalem's limestone walls, a boy inherits more than a name. His hands are already stained with the marks of ordinary labor, tended vines, swept thresholds, the careful lifting of clay jars. But in his sleep, the world changes its address. The night air carries a presence that makes the air itself seem heavier, as though the stars themselves lean closer to listen. He hears a voice that sounds as if it were carved out of the wind and then set to rest in his chest. The boy's name is Jeremiah, though in the town he is known as something more like a rumor than a man. The son of Hilkiah, the son of a priest, a boy who would become a man who would not abandon his God in the day of trouble. Anathoth is a small room inside a much larger story, the story of a people who have forgotten their first promises and are about to learn them again, only in the hardest way. The night when the calling comes is not dramatic by the world's measure. There is no burning bush that lights the hills with flame or a thunderous voice from the heavens that shakes the ground to its secrets. Instead, the call comes as a voice inside a voice, the hush before the dawn when a heart recognizes its owner. It begins with a question that sounds almost surprised. What if you were chosen for a thing you do not yet understand? Jeremiah's first reaction is the most human of all possible responses. He immediately questions the assumptions that come with such a summons. He is not bold in the way a general is bold, striding into a battlefield and shouting orders to the troops. He is a boy who has learned to be careful with his words because words have weight in a time when the land itself seems to be weighing all of its memories and future against him. "I am only a youth," he says, the words slipping out as if they were pebbles from a brook, small and easy to hide in the folds of his cloak. "I do not know how to speak." Yet the voice does not retreat. If anything, it gathers courage with a patient rhythm, as if time itself were listening for what comes next. The words that answer him are not arguments to win a debate, but a mandate to become something bigger than his own fear. They come with the unmistakable authority of a higher purpose. "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." The phrases come to him not as a single thunderclap, but as a stream that finds every crack in his armor and slowly fills it with light. Jeremiah tries to carry the gift and its burden at the same time. The call touches his memory of home, the well at the corner, the way his mother's prayers seem to hang in the air like warm cloth over the shoulders of a child, keeping him from the cold of the night. It touches his fear, which is not a lack of courage, but a fear for the people who will either turn toward mercy or be broken by their own stubbornness. He hears the sounds of a city that will soon become a field of rumors and smoke, and the sound is not just of distant carts, but of the deep, gnawing ache of a people who refuse to hear a warning that speaks the truth they do not want to hear. So the calling shifts from a personal summons into a public charge. The words the Lord gives him are not small speeches. They are prophetic oracles that will travel with him from the gates of Anathoth to the courts of the temple and beyond. They will be a light that reveals the moral rot under the city's glitter, a voice that will insist on repentance while the people's ears burn with stubbornness. Jeremiah's own heart becomes a map for the nation's future grief and, paradoxically, for its possible restoration. He is told not to fear human opposition, for God's purposes stand behind him as a fortress stands behind a city. The scene in which Jeremiah accepts this mission is not a dramatic sword swing moment. It is a quiet, almost tender moment, a surrender that arrives like a sunrise after a night of storm. He resolves to speak what must be spoken, even if the words make him enemies, even if his own family will doubt him, even if the weight of their history will press down on him with every new prophecy. He does not yet know the depth of the tears his calling will draw from his own eyes, nor does he realize how many doors will be shut, how many nights he will lie awake listening to the clock that ticks toward judgment. In the days that follow, the young prophet moves among the people with the awkward grace of someone who has learned to listen more than to shout. He sits with widows by the city gates and with farmers under the shade of olive trees. He carries a message that sounds like a balance being tipped. Please like, subscribe, share and follow for part 2 of Jeremiah's story.